Do you remember when you were younger looking at older people and thinking, oh God, I'm dreading it when I get to their age? Well, I've got news for you. It's actually a lot better than you think. When I was young, I don't know about you, but I had all of these things where I had so little self-confidence that I used to think to myself, am I going to fit in? How many friends do I have? This is a big harsh world, how am I going to get on in it? All that sort of thing. And it certainly happened as you're getting older and you start to get into your teens, and then you're working, and then you meet someone and you get married. And it seems like when you're young, you're absolutely pushing it all the time in order to move on in life. Well, the great news is you're going to reach a certain age if you're not there yet. Lordy, it's windy up here. You're going to reach an age where you're going to find that life gets a lot better. You gain a lot of things that you didn't realise when you were younger. You might wonder where I am. I don't know if you can see. I'm walking over the bridge that goes over the A14, so it's quite busy down there and it's quite noisy up here. I hope you can hear me. Anyway, as I was saying, when you start to get older, and I'm talking about from the age of 55 really. 55 was the age where I grew into my own skin, and it was the time when I stopped worrying about how I looked. You're not going to believe this, and I know I haven't got much hair, but I went grey when I was about 18, 19, I started going grey. And when I got to about 30, one of my friend's wives said to me, my God, James, you need to dye your hair. You're looking really old. And so I started to dye my hair very young. By the time I got to 55, I couldn't care less about it anymore. And that was one of the things that was great. The wrinkles that I've got, well, they're mostly laughter lines these days because that's what I do much more than anything else. And you stop worrying so much because you've got an experience that you've developed over years whereby you realise that the majority of stuff that you worried about when you were younger never really happened, did it? And the things that you worried about and the things that were a struggle in your life, and for my example, that would be losing a business, pretty much losing a home, all that sort of stuff. That was a worry. However, do you know what? You get over that. And if you think about it from the right perspective, all of those things that you think were horrible in your life were the moments when you learnt the most. They were the minutes when you did learn resilience, where you found out that whatever life chucked at you, you could overcome. And then when you start to get older, you realise that actually it wasn't as hard as you thought at the time. And the weight that was on your shoulders in your 30s and your 40s comes off, and it starts to free your life up. The other thing I've noticed is that you can slow down a bit. When we were younger people, it's a Sunday today when I'm recording this, but I'd have been busy trying to do something out, trying to earn a living, because when you've lost everything, you seem to work that much harder. And for a lot of people now, it's not a 5-day week like it used to be, where you'd go Monday to Friday. A lot of people have to work split shifts, so they'll work a Sunday as well. So there is a whole load of joy from getting your life back, if you'd like to call it that. And that's why I kind of think that getting older is more joyful. We have a sense of perspective that we can look back on what's happened and see that it wasn't as bad as we thought it was, even though times it seemed quite drastic. And one of the other things, and this is something that is one of the driving reasons for this channel, is that I've had experience that my boys haven't, because I was 26 years older than the first one and I'm 30 years older than the second one, which means I've got a whole lot more experience than they have in this life that we lead. And so you develop that wisdom, and so you can then pass on your advice. And one of the things I try to do with this channel is to be encouraging. All of these videos, I hope, encourage you in some way that helps you lead a better life for yourself. It may give you something to think about, and it may be that my thinking's a little bit different to yours, and so what I have to say you may never have thought about before. Don't get me wrong, I don't think I know it all, not by a long chalk. There's a lot of joy as you get older, and it's not something to be fearful of. I look at it now, I'm 64. I'm entering the teen years, if you like, of my being older. And I'm enjoying them. And there is nothing whatsoever, if you're younger and watching this, to be fearful of. There's a whole load to do. If we're fortunate, like in those figures that I showed you the other day on that other video, 80 is a good chance for you. And if you make it to 80, that means at my age, I've still got 20 years to go. So there's still a long time to go. If you reach 60 and you last to 80, you still have a quarter of your life yet to live. What I'm saying to you is, live your life. Don't let it just drag by and spend it worrying about you're going to get old. And it is certainly much better than the alternative and not getting older. So why not make the most of it? Why not live your life and start to enjoy it? And if you're not at the 50s yet, if you're in your 30s and your 40s, don't worry. If your life is still pushing in your career, there will be a time when that is not as important as the relationships you have with your friends and family, because they are way more important. It's also not as important as your health and being healthy enough to get through this life. And so make the most of it. Don't worry about it. In fact, if I was you, look forward to it, because it's really, really good. Now, I spoke about friends very quickly. I used to worry about not having enough friends. Now I've got to the age where, do you know what? Some people that I thought were friends weren't. And so now is the age group where, frankly, you can let go of those people that you don't feel great about when you're with, and you do feel great about when they've gone. So there's a lot to look forward to. Anyway, if you're wondering about that, I'm going to put a video up on this, up the top here somewhere, and I'm going to talk about your tribe and the people who love you no matter what, your friends who support you when you're pushing, and they have your back when you've got problems. I'll see you next time.